Yo, what's going on, guys? I hope your day is going well. I hope you're doing well. I don't hope you're going well. That doesn't make sense. All right, let's get started. I think today's topic. I think I got some tips for mindfulness for you guys if you're new to it, right? Um, Recently, I mean, I've been having some ups and downs with my mindfulness ability, right? Like my practice of it. Some days I'm not mindful enough to even remember to practice mindfulness. Other days I'm completely there and I can like focus on everything from like uh, lifting my spoon while I eat, just watching it the whole way, and then chewing and focusing on that the whole time and really focusing on the taste of the food and all that, and then other days I just can't, right? So something that I use as a good way to make sure or to stay mindful and to stay present while I'm doing things like that is to play little games with yourself that have to do with what you're doing in the moment. I don't really have a ton of examples of this, but my one example I think is pretty good, right? You're doing something kind of boring, right? Like you're eating your food, you're eating your fruit. For me, the thing that or the example I'm gonna give is I'm eating blueberries, right? For my dessert, right? Uh, then I'll pick one up at a time, taste it individually, and then rate the taste out of 10. If I am focused on rating the taste out of 10, then I know I'm going to be mindful of what it tastes like, and I'll be in the present, uh, paying attention to one of my five senses, right? I also want to pay attention to the action of me picking it up and putting it in my mouth, but at the very least, I'm going to be focused on the taste and not thinking about some other problem I have or wandering off in my mind. I will be there in the present moment. So that's something that I do that I think is really important or really helpful for mindfulness when you're kind of new to it, right? It's really hard to stay mindful. Like that's a hard practice, right? You got to get decently far on your self-improvement journey. So doing that works for me a lot. Other than mindfulness tips, I'm not sure what advice I got for you today, but I do know, or something I have learned as I've been making more YouTube videos and journaling more often and meditating more, is that as you're coming up or as you're going through it, as you're going through the thought process, the recording, the journaling, you figure out what you're gonna say. Like you figure it out as you go type thing, and it's not really something that is too necessary to worry about. Like I shouldn't be stressing like, oh shit, I have nothing to say for this video, when I can go ahead and talk. I made advice out of nothing right there because I practiced that. And when I journal, same thing. I'll write. Sometimes I'll be stressed, like why am I so stressed? Why am I not able to come up with good ideas or remember what I read in my book? But if you just learn to go with the flow and just be okay with whatever comes to your mind. Whatever comes to your mind is just fine while you're journaling. That's the point. You're supposed to write down whatever you think, anything you think. It doesn't matter if it's a relatively pointless thought that's not gonna improve your understanding of the world at all, or if it's something else. I can't think of an example, but you get what I'm saying, right? Anything, write it down, and eventually you follow that trail of thinking anything, and then eventually you'll say something and it'll remind you of something you read in the book. And then after that, you'll start talking about what you read in the book, and then maybe you're not reminded of anything else important. And then eventually you keep writing down what you think, and you'll be reminded of something else important that you were trying to recall. But I feel like if you're sitting there journaling and trying to use force to recall something, it's not gonna come. It's not gonna come. You have to let it come naturally. You just go with the flow. You talk. You think, but you don't think. You don't. It's not an action of thinking. It's just a flow of thinking just naturally coming through your mind. You just gotta let it come and go as it pleases. Uh, some moments you're gonna be more confident in what you're saying, and some moments you're not gonna be confident at all. And that's just how it is. You gotta learn to have faith that in the process, in the thinking process, the thought process, the mental process. If you have faith in that, you'll understand that whatever you're saying right now is good, because it might not seem like an important thing to say, but eventually it will lead to something more important. That's how the brain works. It goes from here to here to here to here, next step to the next step to the next step to the next step. And if you like, say you're here, you think about the one time your dog chased itself or chased its tail and then fell. You think about that. It's a relatively pointless thought. It's funny. That's it. It's not going to be like enlightening or have like some wisdom you can use throughout your life. But and then you're like, you catch yourself and you're like, what is that pointless thought? What is that going to do for me? And then you're like, I know something important. There was just the thing I read in my book, and I want to write that down so I can remember it better. But that's like a step up here, right? There's all these steps in between that you're skipping if you just try to recall that. So you should be going from the dog memory to something a little bit better, and then to something else, and to the next step, and then eventually the thing you're trying to recall will get recalled. Something more important will come along. The de-stressing benefits that journaling has will eventually lead to your clearer thinking, and those ideas will pop out of wherever they're at in your mind. So you really just have to have faith in the process there. Have faith in what you're saying, have faith in what you're doing. Eventually something good will come out of it if you take the time and don't give up. Because earlier I was literally like running out of shit to say. I felt like I was running out of shit to say. And like I said, I think I literally said, I have no clue what I'm going to talk about now for the rest of the video. And then I just kept going with it, and made something out of nothing. And that's, I think that's, making something out of nothing is a really important skill that you have to teach yourself. So practice that. I think, like I said, when you're journaling, I think that's the best way to practice it, is just go with the flow and don't try to force any thoughts that are better than the thoughts that you naturally have. It's not going to work well. All right. Thank you guys. Have a good one.